Hello, I'm Asher, a community risk reduction intern at the SLO Fire Department. We're here at a home in San Luis Obispo doing a free and voluntary detailed home assessment. This home lies within the very high fire hazard severity zone due to the CAL FIRE maps that were released, and it is required to comply with defensible space requirements. It is recommended that all homes in the city have defensible space. New WUI codes require all new homes and remodels in San Luis Obispo to have home hardening. We will also be looking at that today. The biggest change is Zone 0, the first 5 feet around your home. This is an ember-resistant zone, and there should be no combustible materials within this zone. All mulches, firewood, debris, dead vegetation should be removed, and in this case this has been established. Zone 0 is well established here, where all dead vegetation, any plants that he has had in the past have been replaced and removed, and there is now a hardscape option in place of it. There's also a great walkway that we're standing on right now, and that is inclusive of Zone 0. And then Zone 1 over here, it's great to see plants that are allowed, live vegetation, and it is compliant because it is outside of that 5-foot zone. The state recognizes that this is a big ask, and they have granted all existing homes 3 to 5 years of a grace period where homeowners can show a good faith effort in establishing Zone 0, 1. This homeowner here has a fence. It is structurally unattached from the home, and as you can see, or it may be hard to see, but he has replaced this first 5 feet with hardy board, a non-combustible option, and over here it is still wood. They look pretty good, and this is the replaced side. 5 feet. Outside of that 5 feet, it remains a wooden fence. Potted plants and patio furniture are allowable within 5 feet with some caveats, but dead material, mulches, and any firewood are not allowed in any circumstances within the 5 feet of your home. Well-maintained plants in pots are allowed near the structure if the pots are non-combustible and no greater than 5 gallons. And the plants within the pots are to be no greater than 18 inches in height and to be spaced 1.5 times the height of the plant away from each other. My recommendation here is to have the homeowner separate these potted plants so that they provide greater spacing, 1.5 times the height of the plant. Once we get into Zone 1, 5 feet to 30 feet away from the structure, you'll want to continue to remove dead vegetation, and any live vegetation should be properly spaced and fire smart. And here, with fire smart vegetation, there are a couple characteristics that you know it is fire smart. It is non-resinous, and it has high live fuel moisture, which you can tell by the thicker leaves. It is drought tolerant, which means once it gets hot out here, it will not just dry out and die. And it will also require little maintenance. These plants are a good example. They have that thicker green leaf. They are drought tolerant as they store water, and they have little maintenance requiring with little leaf drop. In Zone 1, you should also have good separation between shrub and other live vegetation. That would mean that spacing should be twice the height of the plant. And here, if we just remove this middle plant, then it will allow for proper spacing between these two shrubs. Spacing also applies to trees, which should be well spaced 10 feet away from each other. And in some cases, that does mean full removal of the tree. In this instance, the homeowner has removed a tree that was encroaching and too close to another tree. In other cases, trees can be well maintained to have greater than 10-foot spacing between canopies. Here with these two trees, there can be cuts and limbs eliminated to allow for 10-foot spacing. This is a harsh reality, but the recommendation here with these two trees growing so closely to one another is to have the limbs removed and trimmed to allow for 10-foot separation between tree canopies. Tree canopies should be trimmed to be 6 feet minimum from the ground. And when trees are close to structures, branches should be trimmed to be 10 feet away from chimney or stovepipe outlets and 5 feet away from the home. This homeowner here has maintained the tree to provide that 5-foot clearance above his home and roof line. Trees should be well maintained and watered. Maintenance is key. This tree here is going to produce a lot of needles that could drop and fall into gutters and zone 0. Be sure to stay on top of that. Zone 2 is 30 feet to 100 feet away from the home. Most homes in SLO won't have a zone 2. In this case, we are here in zone 2. And remember that your zone 2 may be your neighbor's zone 1. But also your maintenance ends at your property line regardless of your zone designation. Zone 2 is all about keeping it lean, clean, and green. So removing all that dead vegetation, maintaining and watering the plants that you do have so they stay green and alive. Home hardening is required for all new homes in SLO City and any remodels done. And that process is triggered when you pull a permit. The biggest thing with home hardening is using ignition-resistant materials to protect your home from flying embers and radiant heat. This homeowner has a non-combustible downspout, double pane windows, and has vents covered in 16th-inch mesh. This siding is also non-combustible. The eaves have been softened in with a non-combustible material, and this attic vent has been covered in a mesh that is no greater than 1/16 of an inch. This is a prime example of all the dead needle drop that happens from the trees above the house, but this homeowner has a Class A roof, which is awesome, but even with that, all dead vegetation should be cleared off and maintained from the roof. This is also a good example of combustible items that are within zone 0, and right now they can lie here, but my recommendation is that you do pull these away and maybe they're on your evacuation checklist as you're getting ready to go, or on red flag warning days. You do not want these items near your home because these plastic bins or anything like this that can combust will be attracting radiant heat in the event of a wildfire, drawing radiant heat directly to the side of your home, which is a greater likelihood of leading to structure ignition. Also with home hardening, be sure that you're plugging all gaps. And one tricky one is where construction material transitions from one to the next can be a weakness and vulnerability to your structure. Be aware of that transition area, that it is sealed correctly, and especially around all your windows, be sure to check the seal and that it is up to date and without any air gaps. If you would like to learn any more information, there is our website, slocity.org/wildfire, and you can sign up for a free voluntary detailed home assessment yourself.